Now, I want to talk about something that's probably going to upset a lot of people because it's kind of one of the things that they're not going to like to hear, even though it's certainly true. Now, I didn't really say much about the Black Panther movie when it came out because I felt like there really wasn't much to say, and that any kind of alternative view that was necessary was pretty much espoused by anybody else. And that be pointing out how the leaders of Wakanda actually collaborated with the CIA to attack the other black population, and how this is inherently anti-revolutionary. This has nothing to do with what it is that the Black Panthers, the original Black Panthers, including certainly I got that impression from Steve Struggle that this was a complete and utter nonsense. So actually, I really wanted to expand upon that. I wanted to give a more third worldist stance, a more of a third worldist view of the Black Panther movie, and that I find it is wholly appropriate that this is the kind of movie that first world black people would like to support. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about black radicals, like I'm not talking about black Marxists. I'm talking about the general black population within the United States, Canada, the UK, basically the main imperialist centers, I would say, with the exception of Australia, given that the black population is actually the indigenous population there. But I would say this is more likely to the main Western democracies, the UK, Canada, and the United States. Now, it seems very wholly appropriate given a lot of the attitudes, the first world chauvinism that exists even within minority communities within the United States. There is still the superiority complex, even among black, brown, Native American, and other ethnic groups in the United States, that somehow the United States is inherently superior to other countries and that they are better than them. I mean, we've seen this all throughout U.S. history. This is by no means limited to white people or simply patriots inside the United States. I mean, we're very familiar with a lot of the kind of movies that we see where the United States is always the victim, where the United States is always the underdog, when this kind of idea is actually, pretty hilarious given that they are the hegemonic imperialist power in the world. And that goes right across the whole country. Like, we can use the old example of the old military movies where it's this handful of Marines that are trying to hold out against 300 or 3,000 Viet Cong, and they're so heroic for being such a small group, fighting off such a large group, when really the United States is, the bad guy in the Vietnam War. They're the ones who invaded and ended up killing millions of people. I mean, that's just one example. And I think this certainly extends into minority communities as well. I think that Wakanda is a perfect example of this. If you look at a lot of the attitude of a lot of blacks in the United States, and I think that this can't be said for black Marxists or other black radicals, but this can be said for the general black population, that a lot of them feel superior to Africans that are in, actual Africa. I think it is that black people want to be proud. They want to be proud of themselves. They want to be proud of being black, their own culture, their own history, and that's true. You should. But they don't want to be associated with the poor black Africans in Africa that are horribly marginalized and still looked down upon even by blacks in the United States. They don't want to be associated, they want pride, but they don't want to be associated with the blacks in Africa, which they see as quite lesser than them. And that's not a racial thing, that's an imperialist thing. That's a national chauvinism thing that even goes through in the African American community. So I don't think that it's really wrong to point that out. There still is that American sense of superiority. I mean, the Black Panther movie is a perfect example of that. Essentially, it's the rich black people that are siding with the CIA to fight the marginalized black people in Africa, like the marginalized poor ones. We're not like them. We're proud to be black. We are Wakanda. Well, we're not like those poor, lower people who are poor and they're disgusting kind of thing, and that's very much the kind of mentality. A lot of black people in the United States are very proud to be black. They want to be proud of it, but they have a very poor view of Africans in general. And to be honest, I've spoken to a lot of Africans, people in the third world, who have a very poor view of blacks in the United States. But it seems so appropriate that the blacks in Wakanda, they want to be proud of themselves, so they identify with Wakanda as, oh, this is what Africans would be if it wasn't for colonialism, imperialism, etc. It wouldn't be like them. We don't really like them. We're not like them. We're not proud of that. We don't identify with that, etc. And I think that attitude certainly does come out with the praise for the Black Panther movie. The fact that they would so openly celebrate a country like Wakanda that would side with the CIA to attack a poor, marginalized black people that they feel that they're superior to. So, I mean, I know people are just going to scream racist in the comments, and they're going to attack me, you're white, etc. But I mean, really think about what it is that I'm saying here, and a lot of the attitudes that really do exist in the first world. This really isn't a racial issue. This is a global divide issue. And no means is this supposed to say like white people are innocent of anything. I mean, this doesn't even really have to do with anything like that. But this is to demonstrate that even along race lines, there is still a divide between the first and the third world, and that this attitude is very highly reflected in the actual movie itself. And all I would ask is that you think about what I've said and try to take it to heart and look at the issue for yourself, rather than just simply screaming, you're white, therefore you're wrong. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.